Hello everyone, welcome to MJ Hobby Corner. Welcome to all new subscribers. I hope you enjoy your stay with us. So first order of business, today is Monday, September 27th, and this is going to be a little update for the channel. I started doing these on Mondays. I've done one previous to this one, and it's just to give a little bit of update, letting you guys know what's going on in the channel, what's coming, and those kinds of things. So first order of business, I have a shipment of 172 scale models coming in, and these are a mixture of fantasy models and historical models. I have some models from the company Alliance that we're going to be looking at, and some models from Italeri and Zvesta. These are all 172 scale miniatures, and I really want to do more with 172 scale and with a lot of the other scales as well, like 15 millimeters is the other scale that I own. So we're going to be looking at a couple of rule sets that use 172 scale or can use 172 scale, and we will unbox those figures here. So if you're interested, definitely be on the lookout. As soon as I get, the shipment is due to arrive on Wednesday, and I think I have another, it's been divided into 2 different days, so I think the other one I get later on in the week, or hopefully by the beginning of next week. But whenever they do come, whatever comes this Wednesday, I will be unboxing those, okay, with Julie. And so if you guys are interested, definitely come on board. Okay, so as I announced in last week's update, last Monday, I said I would probably be doing some sculptures this week. So I have 4 armatures already built, and these will be for the game Deep Wars. I'm going to be doing some proxy models, and there's a 5th armature that's coming, and that's going to be for a diver figure, okay, probably for the Fortune Seekers, which is what Julie is going to be playing for a little bit. So if you're interested in anything related to sculpture, definitely look out for this video, as I am going to have a few video updates in the future on the progress for these new figures. And what I really want to do is an upcoming video that's going to talk all about armatures. Now, I already have a video in my playlist, my sculpting playlist, that talks about armatures. It's a little bit old. I want to update it with some new things and maybe keep it as my video for armatures. One of the things we're going to be looking at is armatures for different kinds of critters. I specialize mostly on creature sculpts. I don't do humans very well, except maybe for the divers, because they're a little easier to like sculpt. I'm not a human kind of guy. I'm all about critters. So we'll talk about quadrupeds, we'll talk about reptilian figures, we'll talk about invertebrates. What if I want to sculpture a spider or a giant centipede or anything, any of those gribblies? Halloween is around the corner here in the States, so of course that would be a good subject to talk about, spiders and all that other stuff, right? So, and we can even talk about winged creatures, things like bats, you know, large bats, giant bats, or whatever it is, dragons. So I'm going to have something on armatures, and we're going to go all over that kind of stuff, how I make the armatures, and also we're going to talk a little bit about anatomy, very basically, a little bit about invertebrate anatomy as well as vertebrate anatomy, just very basic stuff that would kind of help you get ideas, inspiration. And then of course, since we work with fantasy, we get to change everything, right? There's always the excuse that magic is the thing that creates these creatures, and that's why they're so odd and so big. So we'll talk about all that stuff, and maybe some of those oddball armatures, like Centaur, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So that's going to be a video on armatures. Armatures are key to sculpting, at least to the kind of sculpting that I do, and it's definitely definitely worth doing a video to talk about it, because really it is the first step to doing any sculpture. And if your armature has mistakes or problems, you'll pay for it afterwards. So the armature is critical. So of course I spent a lot of time this period of about 8 years that I've been sculpting, working on my armatures. All right, and I started as a wildlife artist, making critters, basically doing wildlife art, and then I moved on to fantasy from there. So now most of my pieces are used in my games, but in the past I did a lot of animal art. So we're just taking that information and translating it into something that us as gamers would be interested in. All right. Games. So what went on with games? Well, I have a game of Rain in Hell that I'm going to be editing tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to do any work on it tonight. Studio's closed. I'm ready to relax a little bit for the night. So I think I'm going to start editing tomorrow. Tomorrow will be my office day. And hopefully I'll have that game up by tomorrow night, if not by Wednesday morning. But we did finish our game of Rain in Hell today. We started it Saturday, finished it today, actually, is when we had the chance to actually finish the game. It was a lot of fun. Rain in Hell is a game by Adam Loper and Vince Venturella. And it's a very fun rule set. We've had a ton of fun with that game. We did something different to this game. You'll see it in the battle report. But definitely we want to continue playing this game and exploring it. So if you're interested in Rain in Hell and you want to know more about it, we'll have that battle report up hopefully very soon. Okay, so I'm doing all the edit work tomorrow. Also for games, I'm not sure what game we have scheduled for this weekend. I usually try to get a couple of games in a week, at the very least one game. But that will depend on what kinds of builds I have going on in the studio, and also whether or not I have sculptures going on. I do this week, and so what happens, I usually, all my time gets focused on those sculptures so that I can get them done and put them to use. So as far as other games, I'm not sure what we have going on this weekend. We may do something with one-page rules, since it's such an easy game to set up. You know, we'll do something like that, Julie and I. Julie wants to learn FTL, which is the space version of one-page rules. So maybe we'll have an FTL game this weekend. All right. So for those of you that like one-page rules, stay tuned. The Cavern Project. So what's going on with that? Well, I'm doing some new terrain for the Cavern Project, as you can see on my workbench there. You know, there's some new pieces that I'm working on, and these are what I call the armatures for the rock work that I'm working on. Really, it's the same concept in sculpting, where you do an armature, you do a skeleton for the figure that you're working on. Same thing I'm doing here, except it's using foam and sticks to form my skeleton for the rock work. So I will be doing a skin of tinfoil and then covering that with a gesso paste that I've used for a long time. It's basically all it is flour, water, cornstarch, and white glue. Then I add a little paint of my, whatever color I desire, and then put that over all the tinfoil rock. It creates a rock hard, no pun intended, rock hard skin to the tinfoil. Really strengthens the tinfoil, and then allows you to do some good painting and dry brushing, whatever else you want to do. But it preserves the wrinkles of the tinfoil, which I like most, but it also hardens it, really hardens it a lot. So that's the paste I use, and in future videos, who knows, maybe I'll do a little video on the different gesso recipes that I've used in the past for styrofoam, for I used to use it a lot in my paper mache sculpting, for tinfoil, all that. But that'll be a future video. We'll see how much interest is generated by it. Starships. All right. Well, there was a lot to update today. Starships. I started work on some new. There's a new technique of starships, making starships that I have come up with, and this is using the clothespins that I've showed in previous videos. And this new technique is what yielded the ships that some of you guys may have seen in my last battle report. I played Infinite Dark, Horizon Wars Infinite Dark, just recently. My very first game. It was a solo game, and I made some starships for it. And I played using Command Level 1, which is basically starfighters, single-seat craft, mechs, things like that. And we played the first scenario. Well, those starships were made using clothespins, among other things, right? Mostly clothespins. These are all wooden ships, basically. So now I started doing the ships for Command Level 2, because we're going to go through all the command levels of the game and experiment with them, right? Get to learn them. So I started with Command Level 2, which are basically scout ships, maybe like bombers, heavy bomber ships. Millennium Falcon would probably be the best example of a Command Level 2 starship in Infinite Dark. So I'm basically thinking about ships of that class, of that size, and that's what I'm doing now with this new technique. So I will have a video update on the technique for anyone that's interested, and of course I will be painting these new ships and adding them to the collection. I have quite a bit of handmade ships in my collection. So then once they're done, we can play some Infinite Dark again and try out Command Level 2. Alright folks, well that's it. I don't want to let this video get too long. This is just supposed to be a studio update highlighting some of the more important projects and basically letting you guys know what's going on, what's going to happen, what's coming. Also in October, probably within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at the game Descent, the board game Descent, and Julie and I are going to start doing our MJ Hobby Talk together again. We used to do that in the past. It was every other weekend, and basically it was our little talk show to update the channel. That's coming very soon. We are filming some of those clips this week, and who knows, maybe by the end of this week we'll have our very the very first MJ Hobby Talk in a long time. So those of you who are new to the channel who don't know what that is, you'll see it. It's basically a little news update thing that Julie and I do together, and it was a lot of fun, and we actually managed to update the channel quite well that way. So look out for that. All right folks, have a good night. Thank you for watching, and thanks to all new subscribers. Stay tuned, and anything that you're interested in, let me know in the comments. You know, any projects or anything. This week is going to be dedicated to sculpting and also to painting miniatures. I need to do a lot of that too. Talk soon, folks.